Wife Material Podcast. Can you be a traditional wife when you're not traditional? The idea of like, if you're a if you have, if you're a baby mama, right? You have multiple kids. If you live a lifestyle that allows you to acquire a lot of body counts, right? As an example, among many other things you do that typically might disqualify you for, wife, right? That might decrease your material for being a wife, right? Wife material. Can you still be a wife, right? Is there still, a chance, a hope? Well, it is, but largely that depends on the guys. Because they're the ones who choose wives, right? They're the ones who gets to decide who is and isn't wife material. Now, you might think that you are wife material, right? And you're willing to convert, right? You're willing to change. You're willing to learn, right? You're probably watching this, listen to this podcast series to get that information, to get that knowledge, to understand what it will take for you to become wife material if you already aren't wife material, right? How you can become traditional when you spend a large majority of your life not being traditional, right? So how can you get from not traditional to traditional, right? A lot of times you can't. It depends on your situation, circumstances, obviously, right? And again, it depends on the guys. For example, the higher quality of men you want, right, will determine how much material, right, wife material you have to be, right? So, if you're trying to get with a guy like Jeff Bezos and stuff like that, you probably have to be as young as 20, right? Low body count, extremely low, like, the lowest you can possibly get, right? Reasonably. Things of that nature, right? For a wife, not for just, dating, whatnot, for a wife. So he might have high standards. So that's the thing. The higher the guy is, the higher his standards is going to be. The lower the guy is, the lower their standards is. I mean, you ladies been around the block enough times to know, yeah, there's certain guys that their standards are very low, so it doesn't take that much to get with them or to get their attention, right? Versus the guys who have higher standards. So like I said, the higher you want to go up in selection when it comes to men, the more you got to bring to the table, right? And so that creates a problem because obviously for most women's, there's things they did in their life they can't undo, right? There might be a guy you want to be with, but he doesn't want to be with you because you have at least one kid, right? And you can't undo that, right? You can't unring that bell, as they say. So you won't be able to get that guy because he's more likely not going to budge on that requirement. So then you're going to have to look elsewhere. Look for somebody who will accept you and your one child. Now, interesting enough, if you have just one child, and then it depends on the circumstances in which you had the one child, you have some hope. So I've seen like online, when they always complain about, single late mothers and stuff like that, don't date them, blah, 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 It's like, yeah, dating, yeah, I agree. It's not necessary to date them. But when you want to choose somebody to be in a long-term relationship, and I'm talking about date, like, just spend some time. I'm not talking, people use the term dating a little more incorrectly nowadays. Sometimes they misunderstand it. They see it as a long-term relationship type term when it's really just referring to just actually going on a date, right? Spending a day with somebody and then that's it. If you get another date, you get another date, and that's dating, not the whole relationship. A relationship, that's why we have the word relationship. So if what you're looking for is a relationship, that's different than dating someone. When you're dating someone, you're just spending some time with them to get to know them, not you know, you're having a full-on relationship where you're boyfriend girlfriend type stuff, right? Where you're a couple. When you're a couple, that's a relationship, not dating. People keep mixing up the two words. So just like marriage, right? Marriage is not dating, obviously. Marriage is marriage, right? So you definitely want to consider the idea that you might have to well, the single mom thing, right, was the idea that's like, if you have one, I believe you still have a shot. If you have more than one, that can be a problem. Now, if it's more than one with the same guy, well, again, context matters. So you have some hope when, you know, depending on the situation. If you have multiple kids by multiple men, that's a problem right there. You know, they call that, you know, a red flag, right? That right there's a problem. Because there's a level of inconsistency as opposed to consistency, right? If you only, you know, if you were with one guy, let's say you were with that one guy for like 5 years, you had a kid, and it didn't work out, and y'all not together, and that's how you have that one kid, okay, that's reasonable, that's understandable. Most guys would understand that. Well, any real man would understand that and be like, okay, that's reasonable. I could work with that. It'd be different if it, you know, if it was a one night stand and then now you have a kid and it's like, damn, a one night stand, you got a kid? Well, that doesn't look good on your resume. So, you know, so don't be surprised you don't get qualified for the position, you know, of, you know, the girlfriend of a certain guy with that type of qualification, right? That's a mark on your record. So you need to try to figure out how to improve your record, right? You know, that's why, you know, being very feminine comes in handy, right? You can't be a single mom and have an attitude. That right there adds another negative towards you, right? Strike one, you got a kid. Strike two, you got a bad attitude, right? Let's say you're physically not his type. Strike three, right? Notice what I'm saying? It's like it adds up. The idea is to minimize the strikes, right? Minimize the stuff that disqualifies you. Because here's something you got to understand about men in general, guys in general, whether they're fuckboy or they're a real man, regardless, right? In general, we look for ways to qualify you. So we look for as much positive things about you that we can find and use that as a reason to be with you, right? That's why if you look good, right? If you're hot, we'll give you a shot, right? Notice that rhymes. If you're hot, we'll give you a shot, right? That's why it's not surprising when you have some females with multiple children by multiple dudes. Well, clearly she had to have been hot, but again, personality, the decisions you're making in your life, you know, matters. So that's why, don't be surprised if a guy's asking you 21 questions, right? Trying to get to know you. They're trying to get to know the real you. You want them to know what you want them to know, right? You want them to think of you in a certain way, but guys care about facts. They care about the truth. You know, they don't. Unlike females, to them, it's not about what you say, right? You know, some guys will believe lies, but on average, real men anyway, we care about the truth. So we're going to try to find the truth. So we're going to ask questions and get to the truth, right? We're going to be like detectives and solve the mystery of you before we actually deal with you. We're not going to, you know, just accept whatever you give us as fact. We're going to look for the truth. So that's why it'd be a good idea to reduce any negative things from your past, anything that could disqualify you, right? For example, you know, having female friends that have a habit of, you know, going out a lot, going, you know, traveling, for example, to different places, but the whole purpose is to just, you know, have fun, right, so to speak, and that's not conducive to marriage, right? That's not conducive to trying to get into a long-term relationship. Those are not activities and behaviors of people with, long-term relationship mindset. And that's the thing, you got to change your mindset and you got to change your lifestyle. So giving up, for example, one thing you can do is change the way you dress, because you're more likely dress not moderately, right? You might dress extravagantly. You might dress in such a way that it's going to give off that you're not for a serious relationship, that you're more for a fun time. And like I said, if you're trying to qualify for a man, right, for marriage and whatnot, you need to start taking your goods off the market, right? Stop, promoting yourself, right? Your individuality, your sexuality, and so forth and so forth, right? You might want to stop promoting that and save it for when you find a good quality guy that that you can start letting him, test drive the goods, as they say, right? Be able to let him, spend time with you, relationship, this and that. Stop giving everybody free samples of what you have to offer, right? What you bring to the table, as they say. So put those away, right? And save it for the right time. So that's one of the many things you can do to improve your chances of, being wife material. Another thing is, it's like I said, there's different levels of guys to choose from, or there's just different levels of guys, and a lot of them you won't qualify for, but there's a lot of them you can, and it's just a matter of picking the best one among what you qualify for. It's the same thing. It comes to trying to get a job. You might want to be the president of the United States of America, but you only qualify for being, let's say, a telemarketer or something. Okay, then take it. It's better than nothing, right? Get that bag, right? So even if you don't qualify for a CEO of a company, you could at least qualify for a owner of a taco stand, right? No, well, not that extreme. Maybe the owner of a salon or something, something like that, right? Like you might qualify for somebody who has a small business or something like that. He might not be a big boss, but he's still a boss, right? That's good enough, right? Sometimes good enough is better than nothing. Trust me, ladies. But you can make it work. You never know. He could, franchise. He might be ambitious enough to take it beyond, that small size and grow an empire based off of it. You don't know. You don't know until you actually know, right? But the main thing is it's not all that materialistic stuff anyways. It is about, finding someone to spend the rest of your life with, until the day you die. Because you don't want to be old, you don't want to live, be an old dog lady or cat lady. Trust me, I've seen plenty of them in my lifetime. Seeing these old ladies at the end of their lives, very miserable, very unhappy. And it's like, damn, could have had a better life, but you chose your path. And it's sad to see it. See y'all at the end of your lives. You only have like one life, right? So to speak, right? You only have one lifetime. That's what I meant to say. You only have one lifetime, so try to make the most of it, right? Learn from the past. There's tons of females in the past that made the mistake of being strong, independent, and don't need no man, and they regretted it. This is part of why, especially in the manosphere, the red pill community, there is always promoting the idea of not being single. Like, if you want to make money, you want to have a career, that's fine. Just make sure you have a man and then have the career and stuff like that. Don't put the career over the man. Don't put money over a relationship. Don't be selfish and put yourself over, a relationship, over the idea of having a husband and kids. If you're listening to this, you clearly want more than, money, more than a job, more than bills to pay, right? More than pets. You want more out of life, right? So try to get it. And hopefully my podcast is helping with that, is giving you, some insight from a male perspective on, getting that man, getting something, which is better than nothing. Always will be better than nothing. Because remember, this is about your future. This is not about your present, not about your past per se, right? Your past matters. It does have an influence on your present and future, but you can always improve your past, right? Because remember, right now you're creating a past anyway. Right now, the things you do right now is going to create a past that in the future you're going to look back to this moment in time. So this moment in time, you're making a decision that, like, okay, I'm going to improve my status for being a wife, right? I'm going to improve, because that's a choice I'm making. You already made other choices, right? You already made a whole bunch of choices in your life that led up to this point in time. So now it's time, it's up to you. You want to continue on the path you already was on, or do you want to change your path? If you want to change your path, right, because you have choices, right? Choose your destiny, right? Choose the path. If you want to change the path, that is a choice you have. Try to make the most of it. Just understand, even with choices, there are limitations, there are restrictions. Not every choice is perfect, right? So that's why, even if you want the perfect guy, you're going to have to accept less than perfect, right? Less than what you think is perfect. And ironically, that will be perfect, because again, something is better than nothing, and that in itself is perfect, because it's better than nothing. Nothing is nothing. Something is something. So something is always better than nothing. So what else can you do? Obviously try to be as natural as possible, right? Because by being natural as possible, you're trying to stand out. So covering up, wearing less makeup, right? For example, because you want to show off your genetics, right? If you got good genetics, good cheekbones, and whatnot, you got good color eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't wear contacts. They're totally different colors than your real eye color. You want to show as much of your genetic, what you have to offer, which is your genetics, right? Because once you make babies, what makes you is going to transfer over to the children. So, you want to show what, the man, that you're trying to, be the wife of, and eventually be the mother of their children, what their children is going to inherit from your DNA. So you want to show them what, they're going to get. Your children are not going to get those big fake ass eyelashes. They're not going to get those fake contacts, right? They're not going to get your BBL, your breast implants, right? They're not going to get those things, right? If you have to augment yourself, for whatever reasons you augment yourself, that's on you. But I'm just saying it's better to be more natural, especially if all it is that you're wearing makeup and whatnot. That you can easily always stop doing that, right? You could always, wear less. You could always wear less makeup, right? Just like you could always change your hairstyle, right? And see what works best to get the attention of the guys you want. Like I said, you want to show off what you bring to the table, which is your natural genetics. Then your personality, like I said, don't have an attitude, especially if you're trying to get something like a husband. You might not want to be an asshole to your potential husband, right? Remember, he gets to pick you, and the idea is you want him to pick you. You want him to choose you as the mother of his children, his wife. So you gotta put your best foot forward. Stop trying to put your foot up his ass, right? So you want to be better for him, and then of course by default he'll be better for you. You get what you give. Sometimes most people nowadays, especially females, don't understand that They're more focused on receiving, and then if they don't receive what they want, then they see that as a problem. But they don't realize that the way you receive what you want is by giving. This is why hot girls be getting, cars and get flown around the world, is because they give. They give stuff, if you know what I mean. They give, whether it's feminine energy, being hot all the time, at least in public when they're with a guy, this and that. They give something, right, of value to the guy, and the guy, rewards them, right, reciprocates, reimburses them, whatever you want to call it, right, gifts them, showers them with, materialistic love, right? They return the favor. So, even just the way they behave, like they'll treat their man in such a way that makes him look more cool, right? More respectable among other men. I mean, think about the logic. If a female treats a guy like he's amazing, like he's super smart, super nice, super strong, like she's constantly bragging and constantly making it obvious, like, public, affection, right? Doing things so that way other people see and be like, oh shit, he must be really strong because she keeps bragging about how strong he is. Oh, he must be really smart because she brags about that. That kind of stuff. The fact that she is doing that stuff makes him look better in society, which ironically gives him more leverage in society. That means now he can grow his network, right, of people that respect him, and the more respect he gains, the more resources he can obtain. The more favors he can ask for. He can ask somebody for a favor just because of what she did, right? So, women, especially when it comes to guys who are, trying to, try to leverage status, right? Try to leverage popularity for financial gains and whatnot. A female definitely helps in that regards. That's why a hot chick who acts like the guy is an amazing guy, the best guy to ever live, is very valuable to that type of guy. The type of guy that wants everybody else to see him as amazing, so that way he can leverage that, and turn that into money, right? Money that which he will gladly share with his hot, significant other, because she literally helped him earn it. So the least he can do is, give her cut, right? So there's stuff like that to take into consideration. But, the idea is that you want to increase your chances. Yes, you hear a lot of times, guys out here giving advices, telling guys not to date single moms, not to date, women that, had marriages but failed at it, divorces and stuff like that. Not to date women over the age of 30 or stuff like that, or not to even get married at all. A lot of times, guys are out here just telling guys not to get married, period. It even got to the point where it's like they got to the whole don't even date. It's a waste of time. So it's just this whole, men, males and females just stay away from each other. It's like, no, let's not divide. United we stand, divided we fall, right? As a society, we need to stay united. So those who chose to be, who are choosing to be wives and husbands, you're making the right decision. You're making the decision not just for yourselves, but you're making the decision for society. You're deciding to make sure society stays together and doesn't fall apart by wanting to be husband and wives. So thank you for your service of, wanting to be in a relationship, a long-term relationship, a happy one, but you got to put in the effort. And that goes on both sides, I'm trying my best over here on the guy's side, trying to get guys to, to do better, be better, teach better, right? Share the knowledge and information of being better men. So that way we can be the better men for the women, right? So that way when the women, it's like, oh, where are all the good guys at? They would know. They would know where all the good guys at. We need to make it obvious what the good guys look like, what the good guys act like, That's important, because the females are still asking where are the good guys at, even though for us guys, it's like, well, it's common sense. Most of the good guys are in your friend zone. They're the guys that you didn't want to date, didn't want to give a shot. Those were the good guys. But we need to make it obvious. We need to get it to the point where females know what the good guys are, what they look like. Instead of having guys like Andrew Tate, you know, having the Pookies and the Ray Rays, you know, out here messing around with potential wives and ruining them by making them single moms, right? And this, that, and third. So we definitely need to do better on both sides, male and female. And you know, I'm doing my best on the male side, but I believe that both sides need help. So obviously I'm on the female side as well, you know, trying to help, at least in one aspect. Most of y'all already came to the point in your life where you realize that you do need to do better. You do need to choose better. You need to act better, and so forth and so forth, which is why you're here listening to this old man tell you about being a wife. Because me, I'm marriage minded. I want a wife, so I can't speak from my point of view of what I want and expect out of a wife. You know, what kind of woman would best suit me for the lifestyle that I choose to be. Now, I am on the, you know, high value path, as some people like to say, right? You know, I might not make it all the way to the high value aspect. I might just get just to the high earner, just get to the point where I got a lot of money, lots and lots of money, but that's about it. I don't have much influence to change the world like a high value man would, but hopefully, you know, I do get to that point. I'm doing my best to make a positive impact on the world. But, you know, at least I have money. So that'd be one thing I bring to the table, right? Money, structure, a lifestyle where a family, right? A husband, wife, kids can flourish, grow, and teach, you know, these traditional values, and, you know, hopefully create a legacy of, you know, the traditional way of life. You know, for those who want it, right? I want a traditional life, right? A traditional marriage. So I want to, you know, make sure I keep that alive, which is why, you know, I'm sharing my viewpoints on being traditional. You know, I'm not against the idea of, yes, we're in modern day times, things are easier, you know, technology wise, you know, there's more information, knowledge now than there used to be available to people. So we can do things a little bit differently. You know, marriages, relationships can be structured differently than the traditional way, and that's fine. You know, I'm not against people, you know, trying what works, right? Having, like, for example, having the wife as the breadwinner and having the husband as the person who stays home, right? You know, flipping the responsibilities. I'm not against that idea if it works, right? If it works. You know, because the funny thing is, I could be a house husband, right? I could be the guy, the one that stays home, you know, taking care of the kids and this, down there, cooking, cleaning, all that good stuff, right? Because we have the technology to make all that stuff easy, so it's not going to be that much work for me anyway. But I prefer to be in the leadership position anyway, considering the stuff that I'm going to be doing with my life, or I should say I'm already doing, and I'm going to be doing more of it in the near future. It's better off that I'm in the leadership position, right? That I'm the breadwinner, and any woman that wants to be with me, you know, they get to help me in that path and that life. So we'll see how that works out, right? But, you know, I have been vetting some ladies here and there. So there are some potential wives out there. So that's why, which helps me, you know, obviously be able to make this podcast, to be able to share, you know, these things. Like I said, okay, let me talk from my point of myself. You know, the whole body count thing, it's not that big of a deal. What matters to me is the quality of the body count. You know, so I have to question, you know, why they have a high body count, and then make a decision based off of that. If their high body count is from reckless behavior, from from bad decision making, obviously that's a no-go. But if their body count, is reasonable, is like, okay, I get it, I see it. Okay, you're hopeless romantic, as they say. You have a high body count because you try to make this relationship last long, and you believe the relationship was gonna last forever, but they didn't. Things happen. Okay, so you just made poor choices in partners. Not just it's more them, not you. That's reasonable. I could work with that. But on average, it's usually you, not them, that tends to be the problem. And that's what I vet for. If the problem is the selection of guys, right, that was the problem, but she tried to make the most of it, then I give her a shot, right? I can work with that. But I can't work with irresponsibility. I can work with somebody who at least takes accountability and responsible for their life decisions. That I can work with. Can't work with somebody who's irresponsible, who's negligent. It's like, you find out, for example, let's say I meet a female that she has debt. Okay, why do you have debt? What's the reason for that? Oh, okay, you have college debt. Okay. All right, so you were trying to do something with your life and now you're in debt. Okay, fair enough. I could work with that. I can't work with, like, wait, you got a credit card and you got multiple credit cards and you maxed them out and you didn't pay, what you owed, so then you acquired a whole bunch of interest. Nah, I can't work with that. You're irresponsible. You chose to have that high, that high debt. You're irresponsible. I don't want an irresponsible person with me, right? I'm not gonna build a relationship with somebody who's irresponsible. I need somebody who's responsible, who's accountable. Somebody who can work with me, as a teammate, not as a opposition, as an enemy, right? And the same goes for personality. I can't have a female that, is disrespectful, is combative, right? Wants to fight, argue, and definitely wants to constantly compare me to her exes and blame me for their problems. Like, sorry, ma'am, I'm not a therapist. I'm not here to be your emotional punching bag where you let out all your anger from your exes and let it all out on me. I don't deserve that. If you want to be angry at me for what I actually do, not for what other guys did. So, that kind of stuff. So these are the kind of things that guys, or at least any guy who wants to be logical, looks into. We pay attention to that. So like I said, I have standards, but I'm willing to negotiate, or I'm willing to make a deal, or I'm willing to work with what a woman brings to the table, as long as she can rationalize, as long as it's reasonable why she's in the position she's in before she met me, and then we can work on it, right? I'm a problem solver, so I have no problem solving problems. Because here's the thing: as long as she's not the problem, I can help her, right? With whatever issues she has, whatever imperfections in her life, I can fix them, right? But if she's the problem, I can't fix her, right? That's something she has to do herself. She has to fix herself. So if you're here listening to me, you have to understand, if you want a great guy, you gotta make sure you're the best version of yourself. So you gotta improve yourself. You gotta make yourself better. If you're a single mom, you gotta improve on that, right? You gotta take the stigma of being a single mom away, right? And you don't take it away by denying it. Don't deny, your bad choices. Don't deny that, that you being a single mom shouldn't be a problem. No. Look at it logically. It is a problem, and you should make it less of a problem. You need to be able to convince the guy that it isn't a problem, and it's not going to be a problem, because you know how to handle it. You know how to make sure that you being a single mom isn't a bad thing for him, right? That if he chooses you, it's going to be a good choice. The problem is that most females nowadays don't try to take their issues and try to fix them, or at least make them manageable, so that way they won't be a problem to others. Instead, y'all take y'all problems and try to bring it into a relationship. Y'all bring your past trauma into a relationship. You bring your past hatred of your exes into a new relationship, and y'all keep ruining every new opportunity. Every time you meet a guy, that's a new opportunity for happiness, a new opportunity for a better life, for a change in your life. But most of y'all ladies bring all your past issues into the relationship and ruin the new relationship. You tend to bring, and guys do this too, most guys, but on average, it is females. Y'all the ones who, if you have a pattern of every time you're in a relationship, it doesn't work out, there's a high probability that you're the reason why it's not working out. Because you're bringing, you're the common denominator. You're bringing stuff to the relationships that's turning the relationship sour real quick, and it falls apart. I mean, one of my exes immediately at the beginning of the relationship told me that she has a habit, like subconsciously or something like that, has a habit of ruining her relationships. And it's like, okay, at least you understand that you have a habit of ruining your relationships. And I told her, like, all right, well, I'll do my best to, to work with you. I'll do my best to, to make the relationship, last longer, as long as I can, right? I have my limits too. I did end up breaking up with her, but I lasted pretty long, compared to a lot of her past relationships that didn't last as long. So I did my best to make it last long. But at the same time, it's like I have my limits, and it's like, well, I'm looking for somebody who wants to improve and do better. It is problematic to be in a relationship with somebody who consciously or subconsciously ruin the relationship. It's like, yeah, that's not good. It's not good to be okay with the fact that you just have a habit of making relationships not work out. At least she acknowledged that it's her, and I know it definitely wasn't me. I tried, like I said, I did my best to stick it out and to last long in the relationship. But it's like, yeah, you keep bringing up your exes too much. You keep talking about your past, and it's like you're trying to blame me for all the stuff that happened in your life, and it's like, that's not my fault. That's your fault. That's your life, not mine. I don't have those issues. I'm a problem solver. I solve problems, so I have less problems in my life. So the fact that you have all these problems in your life, that's a you thing. And since you don't want to fix it, you don't want to move past your past, then I can't be your future. So I did my best to try to help her, try to motivate her and inspire her to do better, be better. And I do feel I have had that effect on her, mainly because I broke up with her, and now she's able to reflect upon our relationship, her other relationships, the relationships she had after me, which she immediately had after me, but that's for a different conversation. But lesson learned. It's like, you gotta learn the hard way, because apparently me trying to teach you how to be a better person, how to give up give up the past, right? Let the past go, and live a better life. It's like, okay, I guess you're gonna have to make a couple more mistakes, be in more relationships that failed before you start realizing that you need to do better, be better. And she was in her 20s, so they're like, oh well, once you get to your 30s, you're gonna start agreeing with me more. You're gonna start understanding that you was the problem, right? That you had a great opportunity and you let it slip through your fingers. Is there potential for her and me to get back together? There is, but my standards are increasing, and if she can meet my new standards, then that's fine. Then that works out. But if she can't, then well, that's life, right? Stuff happens. She did have one kid when we got together, so there's that. I don't know. I feel like she has another kid, which might explain why we haven't talked in a long time. So that's another possibility. So we'll see. We'll see once she comes back into my life. Once I see her again online or somewhere in real life. But until then, I'm on the journey. doing my thing, and looking for my wife. So that's why it's important for me to know what wife material I'm looking for, right? What qualifications do I need for a wife? Because there's a lot of stuff that I think about this, like, yeah, I don't need her to cook and clean, but I would like her to have those skill sets, because those are useful survival skill sets. She should be a clean woman, right? So cleaning shouldn't be a problem for her, because it should be a natural part of her life. Just like I clean. I'm not perfect, but I do my best. And, I do cook. So there's that. So it's like I have these skills, even though I could just pay other people to do it, right? Cook and clean, but I'm capable of doing this stuff myself. Just like I'm capable of fixing, anything, right? I'm a very handy man, so I'm capable of fixing a lot of things. So I don't have to pay other people to fix them for me, but at least it's an option. The thing is, I have the option to do things myself or have other people do it for me. So that's definitely a requirement I expect out of a woman, is for her to be able to do things herself. Just like self-defense, like, of course I'll protect you, I'll defend you, but it'd be nice if you can also do it for yourself. Because if I'm not there to protect you, it'd be nice if you can protect yourself. At least long enough for me to get there to, back you up, right? To save the day. If you get kidnapped, I expect you to, do your best to get out of the situation, or at least survive long enough for me to come to the rescue, right? That helps both of us, right? That makes it easier for me to do my job, right? My responsibility of taking care of you, if you're already capable of taking care of yourself, just in case I fumble, or I come up short. You can make up for it. Of course, I would do my best to be perfect, as they say, right? And never come up short on anything. Money, accountability, responsibility, right? Love, respect. I'll do my best to be super at everything I do, but I am human, and so are you, ladies. Y'all human, so of course y'all not going to be perfect, but you could at least try to improve, right? Try to change things in your life so you can be at least a better than you was before, so you'd be a better choice. Because trust me, when you improve yourself, you're going to see a lot of other females around you that are going to remind you of how you used to be. It's like, yeah, I used to be like that, and you're going to see that the results, the things you get out of life when you improve versus if you were the same as the other person. You'll see that the other person is miserable living the way you used to live your life, and you'll see how much better your life is in comparison. Sometimes people don't do that. They don't look at other people's lives and be like, oh yeah, I used to be like that. It's very rare for people to have that type of reflection where they can look at somebody else and be like, oh, that used to be me. Man, that explains why my life was a certain way. It's because it was me. I was directly, indirectly influencing my life just by the way I was living, right? It's the idea of treat people the way you want to be treated. That's logical. Everything you do in your life has a ripple effect, right? It has a cause and effect. So if you're negative all the time, don't be surprised your life is negative. If you're positive all the time, don't be surprised that you have a certain level of positiveness in your life. I've experimented, right? I've tried being negative, being an asshole, being selfish, right? I've tried that, and it gave me some short-term, gratifications, but again, it was short-term. I got a lot more negativity out of that than I did positive. So when I was more positive, I got more out of it. Because, for example, I'd be positive, and everybody else around me is negative, and I'm the only one that's benefiting. And then everybody looks at me like, why are you so happy? Why does it seem like your life is better than the rest of ours? That don't make no sense. You're here with us, yet you're happy. How? How can you be happy when the rest of us are miserable? And it's because it's y'all point of view. Y'all here being miserable. I'm not here being miserable, and that's why my life is not miserable. That's why my life is better than y'all, because of my mindset, because of my viewpoint. I'm looking at our current situation, and I'm looking at the positive, at the, I'm looking, the silver lining, right? The silver lining in the clouds, right? I'm looking for the positive within the negative. Y'all just looking at the negative, and that's it. So no surprise that all y'all see is negativity, and your life is negative, because that's all you see is negative. You don't see both the negative and the positive and be like, you know what? I like the positive, and I'm gonna focus on the positive. The thing is, I'm focused on the positive, right? And I make the most of it. Right? I've seen people who are like homeless and have a smartphone. I'm like, damn, that's good that you have a smartphone. Hopefully y'all using it to make your lives better. I've seen some homeless people that are extremely happy, and the ones who are extremely happy tend to have cell phones. The ones that don't seem that happy, that seem to be like, oh, life is hard, I'm struggling, blah, 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 I notice they don't have cell phones. So that's the perspective. They're, both people in this example are both, homeless, right? They're both homeless. They're both living in the streets, but one has a smartphone and one doesn't. And clearly the one with the smartphone has a different perspective, and they're doing the most. They're making the most of that smartphone. They're probably using that smartphone to, make money, or at least to stay in contact with people that, maybe other homeless people who also have a smartphone, and keep in contact and be able to share information. Like, hey, look, this place over here is awesome. People are so generous with money over here. I already made like $300 just begging for money over here, and like, oh, bet, I'm on my way. And they'll be on the way to go get that money, go beg for that money, which they can use to keep paying for the phone, right? Like, think about that. So it's like, it's your positive outlook. They're homeless, yet they're living a relatively similar life to most of us. Think about it, most of us have phones and houses, right? We're not homeless. We have a smartphone, yet we're miserable. How can a homeless person with a smartphone be happier than somebody who has a house and a smartphone? Make that make sense, right? So again, it's about perspective. So yes, you could be in a bad situation where your relationship, the fact that you're a single mom and stuff like that, or you have a high body count, you have a bad attitude, and the list goes on of all these, negative things, these things that would make you less appealing, less of a good option for a guy to choose. You can fix a lot of these things, right? Or at least you can make a lot of these things less problematic. What I've always seen when it comes to this, the main thing is about the single mom thing, for example, is it's not that you have a kid that's the real issue. It's how you treat the guy that you're trying to be with because of the kid. The kid becomes a liability. The kid becomes a problem. You don't try to make the kid out to be a positive thing, a good thing, right? You're definitely not offering the idea that, hey, I'm going to be a good woman to you, and all I ask in return is you be a good man, right? A good role model for my son, right? My child. And we can make a nice happy family, and I'm all down for that, and I'm willing to work with you to make that happen. I'm not going to fight with you, argue with you. I'm not going to use my child against you as a weapon, right? I'm not going to be disrespect you, belittle you, basically be ungrateful, right? I'm not going to make it seem like this is something not worth your time and money and life, right? I'm going to make this a great option. And that's the thing, most females don't make the fact that they have children as a good thing, even having a high body count as an example, as a good thing. I mean, ideally you want the body count to be low. Most guys don't think that hard into the body count thing like I do. Most guys would just look at the number and that's enough. It's like, oh, your body count's high, that means you have bad credit. Think of it that way. Oh, you have a high body count, you have multiple kids, that's lowering your credit score for being a wife. So the idea is to try to improve your credit, right? To try to make it where it's like, oh no, these are assets. These kids are very useful. They're very beneficial. this gives you the benefit of, you have the benefit of being able to raise these children and teach them, your morals, your beliefs, your religion, whatever, like you gotta sell the idea that these kids of yours are beneficial to this man you're trying to be with, that they're an asset, right? That there's something valuable, not something that's, problematic. Sell the idea that the kids are a benefit, right? Not a problem. They're a solution to something. They're a solution to a problem, not that they are the problem, right? You want to make it where it's like, hey, the kids are great, they're respectful, this will make you look good, because, in society, being a family man is very rare, right? It's very rare to be in a, good long-term, relationship with kids. So this will give you more respect in society. This will give you more clout. You got to sell this idea. You got to sell this, like, this package deal right here. Me and my children will greatly improve your life. Will make your life better. So choose us. Can't be like, definitely can't be disrespecting the man who would pick you, and that don't make no sense. You want him to pick you, you gotta sell him the idea that he should pick you, that you're worth his time, not that you're an issue, you're a problem. It's the same thing when you're applying for a job. You want a company to pick you and give you, let's say a CEO position or something like that. If you want them to give you that job, you gotta qualify for it, right? You gotta convince them that you're the best choice for that. You can't be acting like you're only good enough for working as the secretary and think they're still gonna give you the CEO job. Like, no, you gotta convince them that you are worthy of the CEO job, even if you logically only qualify for the secretary job, right? You gotta sell yourself better than what you naturally worth, because guys are going to look at what you have and they're going to look at it like, okay, this decrease your value, but you need to be able to convince them that it doesn't really decrease your value. It actually adds to your value, and you need to be able to convince them why it's valuable logically, right? You gotta be able to convince them. And I already do my best to try to be reasonable and try to work with females, and give them the benefit of the doubt, and not just take the numbers, right? Not just take what I see as face value and then make a whole entire judgment based off of that. I look deeper into that, and I'll make a judgment based off of the facts, right? Based off of the circumstances, right? I'll make exceptions for stuff, but not everything I can make an exception for, but I can make an exception. Because I'd be damned if a female's like, yeah, I cheated on like 12 of my boyfriends. Oh, you cheated on 12 guys and you want me to marry you? That doesn't look good on your resume. That right there is a problem. So that's a write-up right there. You have 12 write-ups. You cheated 12 times. I'm good. I prefer an employee, right? A woman, a partner that doesn't have, a habit of cheating. I don't support cheaters. So there's that. And that'll be the end of the podcast. Hope this was helpful.